Como seres humanos no podemos ir por la vida sin dormir. No dormir lo suficiente se ha relacionado con la falta de líbido, el aumento de peso y la hipertensión. Hay cosas que puedes hacer para mejorar esto. Establece una rutina para ir a la cama, tomando una ducha caliente, leyendo un buen libro o escuchando música relajante. Por muy difícil que se te haga conciliar el sueño al principio, con la práctica tu cerebro cederá y lograrás dormir plácidamente. Visita laredhispana.com.
La superación personal y profesional comienza con tu actitud. Te invitamos a ser parte de una conferencia motivacional o taller de liderazgo impartida por Gerardo Salinas Enríquez, conferencista motivacional de Chicago. Para él, perder la vista a la edad de 13 años no fue una barrera para lograr sus propósitos. En sus conferencias, él te hablará con el corazón, conocimiento y experiencias. Aunque no tiene sentido de la vista, tiene mucha visión. Para mentoría individual, contrataciones en escuelas, iglesias o cualquier evento público, puedes llamar al 773-786-8022. Búscalo en Facebook, YouTube y TikTok como Gerardo Salinas Enríquez. No esperes más, con actitud se logra la superación.
Hello everyone, this is ELSA PRADO with Wings of Love. Today I have a really special interview in the sense that first we were celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month and our guest was not able to be here because she had a prior commitment which she had to do. However, it's never too late to celebrate our Hispanic heritage. And I have Stephanie Martinez. She's a Chicago-based choreographer who moves her audiences along a journey guided by the kinetic momentum of the award-winning works that she's produced spanning over 15 years with original creations for Joffrey, ballet, and then some. I'll let her tell you more about her life and how she came to the world of dance. But one of the things that I really believe is really important is that we embrace our Hispanic culture and that we embrace our roots as Hispanics. And she is a Latina, which has made a change for the community with dance. Welcome to the program, Stephanie.
Thank you so much, Elsa. Thank you for having me and for the wonderful introduction. It's a pleasure to be here. I am the founder and artistic director of Padamar Dance Theater, started in the height of the pandemic in 2020. And, you know, we have been around for 5 years, and Padamar is, you know, together with and for Pada. You know, for the community, and Mar is my last name.
Okay.
So the company is all about empowering diverse artistic voices in contemporary ballet and creating equity and access and representation in the dance world.
Exactly. And tell us a little bit more about how you came to the world of dance. As we had spoken previously, you really come from a family of a background in medical. So how did you decide, or what was in your heart that said, I need to do dance?
Well, I mean, I think I've always been a dancer. I started my journey was different. I started later. I'm originally from El Paso, Texas, the oldest of 6 children. Yes, in a medical field, but I'd always loved dancing, moving. I was just, even as a child, I was a dancer, but my formal training started in Chicago, and I was supposed to go to university, and I ended up coming to Chicago with a friend of mine, and she said, you know, hey, why don't you have the summer off before you go to university? Why don't you, come with me to Chicago and just hang out. And I said, well, what am I going to do? And she goes, well, why don't you always wanted to take dance classes. And where I was from at that time in El Paso, there was no ballet. There was no real training there. I mean, there was flamenco. I mean, there was other forms, which I love and have deep respect for. But she said, why don't you just come? So I remember going to Chicago in the summer in Evanston and taking some dance classes. And I was at an audition. I didn't even know that I thought I was at a dance class. I was at an audition and they offered me a scholarship.
Oh my goodness.
And the rest was history. I told my parents I was moving to Chicago to be a dancer. This is a real story. And they were in shock because I was supposed to go into medicine or something that they considered serious. So I started dancing in Chicago at 19 through scholarships.
Isn't that amazing?
I don't know how that happened. Someone saw something in me at Hubbard Street, and the rest, I started to kind of build my career, but in a short amount of time, really.
And how did you build yourself into the becoming the founder of your own dance theater? How did Stephanie bring that out?
Well, I think you have to I've had a very extensive career in dance. I danced, oh my gosh, until I was in my 40s. And, I thought to myself, and then I started choreographing, started to make dances for other dancers and other companies. And this seemed like the natural step for me to be a leader. And as a Latina and as a woman of color, I never saw anybody in front of the room that looked like me, that had the same background as me. And I thought, this is something that I need to pass on and start telling human narratives through the eyes of, a woman, a Latina woman. So I thought there were stories that were important to tell and put on the stage so that other people that are watching can identify with them.
What would you tell our Latina women about pursuing dance and becoming part of the theater? What would be those words, or what would you suggest? What do you recommend that they do if this is what is in their hearts to do?
It's a good question. I would say go to the place that you want to be in terms of the institution. If you want to be in ballet, or it's flamenco, or if it's just theater, you need to start a conversation of where you want to be, and then possibly go to school for it, start to train for it in school, look into scholarships, look into what is the passion that you have and where do you want to be. You have to be very clear about where you want to end up.
Right.
I think, and I wanted to be a contemporary dancer on stage. I was very, just clear with where I wanted to land. Mm-hmm. And I think that is something for them to understand, but then do a lot of homework and a lot of research of how to get there and then stay there. Exactly. And it takes a lot of perseverance, determination, investigating. Yes, you can be passionate, but without passion and without hard work, passion doesn't work. You have to combine the two. You have to make yourself a plan and then work on that every single day with rigor and determination.
Absolutely. I remember my dance teacher telling me, you have to be somewhat of a masochist to endure how much pain you have to have when you rehearse and rehearse and rehearse.
Yes, you have to enjoy being really physical. I'm talking about dance. It's every day. It's like being, it is like being a professional athlete,
Right.
A football player, a basketball player, so you have to have a lot of grit in you to keep showing up for yourself, not for what your parents want you to do. A lot of dancers, a lot of their parents wanted them to dance. My parents, it was the opposite.
Right.
They didn't see any future in it. And I said, my mother, we didn't even have cell phones back then. I would call her every week. Like, you don't have any training. I said, I can do this. I know I can do this. And she, okay, and your father and I can't help you because you had scholarships to a school. So my first job was at Bennigan's, and I stayed at the Margarita Inn in Evanston.
Oh,
and
really?
Got it. I was really on my own, and that kind of, not knowing what's next and figuring it out was a great motivator for me, because I had to make it work. There was no plan B. This was it.
Right.
And so, I started later as a dancer at 19, as a choreographer in my 40s, and I started Padamar at 54. So if there's any late bloomers, it's okay.
It's okay to be a late bloomer. It's okay.
Just
Success
start.
doesn't, right? Success can come later.
Yes. Just start doing what you want and putting things in motion, and it will happen. I am a testament to that type of thing. It's hard work, but it is possible.
Hard work pays off, though,
It does. Hopefully, that can be a little bit of inspiration for some young folks, or for somebody older not thinking that they have value. You have more value as you get older because you have a lot of wisdom.
Exactly.
So, hopefully that will resonate with somebody out there.
With the audience, of course, a lot of times people give up too soon. And sometimes, what are your tips for when you want to give up and you want to just throw the towel and say, okay, I can't, do more than I am doing already?
Yeah, I mean, there's been, in true transparency, there's been a lot of times where I have felt, exhaustion, and my husband says, you need to rest, not quit.
Right.
Resting is different than quitting.
Absolutely.
And I would say to have some balance between, working every day but then also reflecting and restoring oneself so that you can continue doing it. But think about which is more painful. Do you is quitting or not getting, or keep going? Which is more painful, to quit or to keep going? I think that's what you have. I ask myself those questions too.
Exactly.
Like, I've come this far, just keep working on it one day at a time. And, there are going to be a lot of no's. There's going to be a lot of rejection. There's going to be a lot, and maybe it's not your time, but to continue making the work or showing up for yourself on a daily basis, I truly believe is key.
It is. It's absolutely very important to know that. And that's why it's important that if we have, younger people looking at this program or watching it, that they know that this is a journey that is not for the faint of heart, that you really have to pursue and persevere, right?
Correct. I mean, whether it be in theater, in dance, and look at you have your own, that's inspiring too. It's whatever it is, go with it with all your might. And it could be in medical, it could be whatever, but I think there's something about dance, and a lot of dancers that have gone on to do other things, but dance is a discipline, and it gives you discipline to go anywhere and do anything else. I would say, you want something done well, give it to a dancer, because they're disciplined. They know how to problem solve. They know how to, show up, be on time. They're really just very well-rounded human beings. And they go off to do, whether they're choreographers or dancers, they go off to do other things, and they're always pretty successful at it.
Right, because one of the things that with dance also that I feel is a key element of it is always knowing that passion that you have for dance is your driving force.
Absolutely.
It's the fuel that you need to get you through.
This is true. And it's just something that is a calling. I think it's either you're called to do it or you're not called to do it. And I hope that, you sing Padamar, that, the night that you came, not just my calling, but I hire artists that have the same passion and work ethic that I have. And I think you can really see it on the stage.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, but it was phenomenal to see the work, your work there, to be present and to be able to watch it. Tell us how what happened. I know you said that this all came out of the pandemic, which I think is brilliant, that you took a really bad situation and you made it into something wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, I remember thinking, everything is dying right now, around us. And there's a lot of loneliness happening, and people are, losing careers. In the dance world, people are not starting careers. So, it was really just, how can I make something as a call to collective loneliness and hope around that. And our first show was in the Avondale neighborhood in a parking lot. And I plopped down a big red rug and I made Kiss over Zoom. It was my first work that I did. And it, was so taboo to not be able to kiss or hug. And Kiss is really about, living in fantasy and kind of reality. And I think that's what we were doing in the pandemic. It's not just romantic, but not being able to touch or hug or see a loved one.
Exactly.
And I feel that all around me. And I thought, well, that's what artists do. You make work out of what's happening around you. And so it was all done very safely and with, COVID guidelines, but, we had it outside and it was free. And that's about Padamar. It's radical accessibility. We don't charge for tickets, no matter where you are or who you are, you're welcome to come. It's a pay what you can model, which is, kind of unheard of in any theater that I know of. And if you know some, let me know. But, so it started off like that and we've been going strong ever since. But just that moment where people were, bringing blankets and sitting in a parking lot and just watching live art, and people were walking around and what's going on. And it was just so, I don't know, it made me feel like I was onto something and that the offering was for them,
right?
But it really for me as well, because I was feeling so just alone. So that's really where it started. That was the seed of how it started. And then now we do a lot of things, traditional dance in non-traditional spaces. And then we do the proscenium stage, which you saw in the theater.
Yes.
Yes, with fantastic choreographers.
Yes, I know it was a really beautiful performance. I mean, I was just, I love dance, number one. So for anybody that loves dance, it's like, it's a combination of many things when you're experiencing, that kind of work at that level. I mean, it is absolutely amazing. Plus, it does something to your mind with your senses. It's just the interplay of everything combined together, the expression. It's, I'm sure, one of the things that a lot of people missed out on, those basic 3 years that we were like out of commission and all these different areas where people couldn't be out and be able to be exposed to all of this work.
It was a rough time, and now we're hopefully getting back to some type of normalcy. But I think the works that were on that program, and again, diverse artistic voices, was the name of the game for me
I
with
think
Palomar.
your voice is, going to be a voice to resonate with Latinas and Latinos down the road. How do you feel you made a change and an impact in the dance world?
I mean, I feel personally that, I've been marginalized, I think, as a female, I'm talking, in the Latin and Native American artist realm. And again, I think it's the stories that we see on stage that are most important, seen through a different lens and through a female lens. I feel like it's a little bit of my job and my calling. We do have some exciting things coming up that I will email you. I'm not gonna, they're coming up next year that is very Latino based.
Right, okay.
For Palomar. So that's gonna come up, and it's gonna be a very, all I'll say is it's based around poems of Gabrielle Mistral.
Oh, okay.
So I'm really excited to dive into a narrative, and she's such a force of nature. And diving into poems that are from the 1930s.
Right. Oh my goodness. Well, that's going to be like welcome 2025. Here we come.
Exactly. Taking
Isn't
people on
it
a ride.
exciting though to be able to get back to life and be able to do these things again?
It is. It's really, not to sound, corny, but it is hope. It brings me a lot of hope that we are still continuing to create and show up for one another. And it's necessary. It's necessary for us to rally behind one another, and especially, in the Latin community, to have our voice at the forefront, because it's, again, there's so much storytelling and the catalyst to understanding one another and the connectivity that we all share, that I feel like, it should be elevated on the stage. It's like Mexican food, like people
Right.
just think it's like, but there's such a standard of excellence to the Latin culture, and to the food, to the art, to the dancing, to the music. I also have another sister, Mercedes Martinez. She's the youngest out of all of us, and she has a group, Son Monarchis. If you are at all interested in, she has written music for me as well, so sometimes we collaborate together.
Oh, very nice.
Also another force of nature, Mercedes Martinez. So
Another Latina. That's
another Latina,
making her
same
mark.
family, just oldest, youngest. But she's a folkloric guitarist, and
Oh, very beautiful.
gorgeous music and artist.
Yes.
So yes, again, just the connectivity between us all, and I just think it's important to continue telling these stories.
It is. It really is, so that we don't lose our roots, so that the foundation is laid for generations to come, more than anything, so that we don't lose it.
Yeah, I mean, it's, we all have the same, ability to straddle, I think, as Latinos or Latinas, like straddle many cultural divides. It's not just, we all have instincts and ways we like to move around the city, and there's many of us, and we should have and there's a standard, like I said, a standard of excellence that pulses through our veins in this community. And I feel like I'm a small little niche into keeping that moving forward.
But with this, you're also leaving a beautiful legacy for other Latina women that will also see you as an inspiration to actually, have the courage move forward and actually go ahead and live the dream. Because it seems to me that there's a dream that you have actually made come true.
It's true. It is. And I feel very blessed and grateful. And I've not done it alone. I've done it with a lot of people that have, been behind me and pushing, me forward in the dance community, my own family, the strong women in my family, grandmother, my mother, my aunts, they've all been a huge part, and they're also a backdrop to a lot of my works, just the family dynamics. But the women are always at the forefront of my work, and they never lose their power.
Exactly. And that is Latina power for you. For those of our audience that are watching, that is Latina power for you, because we are made of fire, are we not?
Absolutely. And we really do, run a lot of things, with grace and style and agency over ourselves and our families. And family is deeply important, but there's like a silent, fiery power, I think, that Latinas have, that, it's just, like I said, it pulses through our veins.
Exactly. Right. It's in our blood, whether we like it or not. I think it's just in our blood.
It's true. It's something that I don't think I ever really realized until I got older, that I was so influenced by, the women that came before me in my family, or the women that I grew up with, not that were mentors. And now that I'm older, it's so valuable for me to be a mentor and a leader that people can look up to and have access to as well.
Right, exactly. So now you're mentoring other women, from your roots, which is the point of doing all of this.
This is true.
You're passing it forward and moving it forward, and it's beautiful. I mean, because that was your purpose, and we're all here with a purpose. So it's beautiful that you have this already in line. You've already made it happen for yourself.
Thank you. I mean, I'm continuing to, again, move the company forward and working on other things. And I work at a lot of universities, and it's a great passion of mine to connect with younger people, so that they can, again, have access to me and talk to me, and again, see that it's possible for them.
Absolutely. And that's my whole theme in my programs, is that we give our youth their wings of love, because there's a lot of love in dance, and a lot of expression, and a lot of emotion, and a lot of feeling, a lot of things that are all derived through, like you said, kinetic movement.
Kinetic movement and emotion in motion.
Exactly.
Motion. Right. And there's nothing like dance, because it's never the same. It always changes. So, it's not like a painting on the wall where that painting will stay there and you can enjoy it, but dance evolves and it changes, and it's never the same. And again, that's why I love it. And, sometimes it can be very frustrating too,
right?
But it's moving art. That's how I see dance, is moving art.
Right. And you always feel so much, I don't know about other people, I can only speak for myself, but it always feels so good when you can have a good dance.
Yes, I mean, and it does not even on stage, but just, you get up, and I was making a work, and I was at this university, and she's like, how do you want me to end it? And I said, can you slow dance? And she was from Colombia, and she said, well, can I bachata? And I'm like, yeah, then do it. Like we, right. It's everywhere. It just comes out, and it's always a yes, to sprinkling in our culture into our works, into our music, into our museums, you know, just anywhere and everywhere.
Absolutely. It's just great. I mean, all around, you know, when you look at that perspective, you know, when you're seeing it from that side of the fence, it's always just a whole different amazing world, because it really has no limits. It's just so much growth in it, and there's so many ways of expanding it, you know.
This is true.
Yeah. So is there anything that's upcoming that you can talk about for the audience, for anybody that's interested in seeing your work? Is there anything currently right now?
Well, not in Chicago. We just finished our season. We will be making an announcement for Padamar Dance Theater. So please go to Facebook, go to Instagram, Padamar Dance Theater, and like us, join us so you can keep in touch. And that will be revealed very soon.
Okay.
I'm working on a play coming up. No dance, just actors.
Okay.
Actors, American Repertory Theater coming up. I'm working with Dimension's Dance Company outside in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple things during year. I haven't signed contracts, so I don't want to talk about them.
Correct.
But yeah, that's just kind of, I don't know if I'm going to jinx myself or whatever, but I just have to contractually sign something before I can talk about it. So that's going to kind of round out my year. But exciting things coming up for Padamar Dance Theater in 2025, and please stay tuned, because it's all around Latino and Latina stories. So
correct. Well, thank you so much for sharing, you know, all this information with our community, because you know that as you work with the community, then we're also working with the community here through radio, TV. So thank you so much for everything that you have shared today, for sharing your story and giving us your time. And I do look forward to seeing more of your work when you're back in Chicago doing more work and your play and whatever else that you're doing. So I look really, you know, I am looking forward to seeing more and being able to share it with, you know, our audience, so that they become aware that this is, you know, out and what's going on in the city, and that this is programming that is also going to be, you know, for their families. So that's really nice that we can share all of this together, and that they have an opportunity to see your work. I was very impressed by the level of work and everything that you did.
Thank you so much for having me. And I look forward to keeping everyone posted on new and upcoming things. And I appreciate you reaching out. And it's been a pleasure and an honor to be on your show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And to everybody that's been watching today, we've been broadcasting live through Dimensíón Latina FM radio TV in Chicago. Thank you everyone that's been very supportive of Wings of Love, and everybody that's been with us sharing all these different programs. And we are sharing all this information to share with you so that you can come and be a participant and be able to see all of this different activities that will be coming to Chicago. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Stephanie. Hope we can you can come back another time when you have more, that you want to talk about, or more that you'll be doing in the city. Once again, thank you everyone that supports Wings of Love, and we will see you soon. Stay tuned for more to come. Till next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hasta aquí llegamos con nuestra programa por internet.